hitting stream, seeing if that is successfully going live on a different stream, and I'm sure everybody will figure it out so easily how to get there. If anyone is in the other chat, please share this link. All right, let's see how the connection is. It is looking entirely to me like the video is still super fucked up. Are there any live shows going on YouTube right now other than ours? I mean, I assume, but let me go find out and see if this is a fucking... Who else might be live right now? God, this is frustrating.
William Lane Craig is on live saying more stupid things.
But his stream looks fine, huh?
It's crashing the internet. Huh?
Okay. I'm hitting yes on the stream again here. I think I still have your audio, though it might be...
Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
I just need to pop that on. Okay, good. I hear
Hello?
you.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And let's see if we are... Does any... Nope, nobody sees me, I think. Did it auto end it anyway? Even though... Let me see. I can't tell if... Everybody, does this work? We're good? We're on? This isn't horrible? Did it auto end it? Okay, we're good. All right, everybody, I need help now. I'm going to need all of you to go share the fuck out of this everywhere, because that will have completely suppressed our stream for the night, because YouTube sucks at whatever it was doing. I don't know what it was between the connection between my streamer and obviously the computer restart has fixed it, so clearly there was a communication error from my streaming device. Odd that the reset of the program earlier didn't fix it either, but this is the fun of being a YouTuber. And when we are here with people who have as you do your first show with somebody who you have been watching for years, what you want to do is impress them with a shitty fucking technical issue. Just the best.
It's a very Mr. Deity kind of thing, really, when you think about it. Everything just going to hell.
It just makes it, yeah, it really does. It really does work. And Brian, you are clipping a little bit again. I don't know if your mic has a sensitivity knob that you could... No,
it doesn't. But I don't see anything here on the... Is there... Oh, there is something down there. Hold on. Oh,
I think it might just a mute button, I think.
Oh, shoot.
Wild K says able to screen if you'd like to. See if you can get a hold of Katy in the live chat. Katy is the one currently screening, but may appreciate the relief. But yes, we are at least running. It wasn't terrible clipping, Brian. It may be that even just moving it back 3 to 6 inches might do all of the work too.
Is that a little better? I dialed it back in here.
Yes,
that's doing it.
That is definitely better, but I would say too much better.
Even more?
No, I would come back halfway. I'd split the difference.
Okay, how about there?
That's excellent. That sounds great to me. Okay. I hope everybody else agrees. All right. I'm just going to run this again so I can have a moment for a big exasperated sigh. Stand by. Fuck! Okay. That's all I needed. We didn't have to do the whole thing. Oh, and I've just pulled up a call banner prior to hit the wrong button as I'm wont to do. So welcome everybody to this little show that we do. That's enough music. You can fade away. It doesn't take voice commands. There it goes. Welcome to the Sunday show on the line, where we talk to people about theology, spirituality, all supernatural beliefs, whatever you might like. And for the very first time, which is why of all of these problems that make me look terribly incompetent has happened, I am joined by Brian Dalton, the one and only Mr. Deity. Brian, I know I asked this earlier, but certainly the state could have changed as a result of all that. How are you doing?
I'm still okay. As long as I'm not pumping out 3 seconds for every one.
That's right.
Because life would just go so much quicker at that point. I'll be dead by next week. I don't want to do that.
What a fascinating fault for it to tell me was I want to speak with YouTube about what possibly they could even be talking about, because that just doesn't compute in any way in my brain or mind or anything. You are sending more seconds per second when you are live sending. Somebody just said no connection, and I swear to God, you better be fucking with me. And I'm sure you are. I feel confident that I'm being fucked with, but, so somebody already saw the call banner and are saying, not the no pronouns guy again. This is a different no pronouns guy that potentially will be talking. But before we get into that, I want to talk to my guest here and tell him yesterday was the 40th birthday of my brother, Jason. That's sort of irrelevant, but happy birthday, Jason. Jason, however, is relevant because about what I think now would have been, I guess it'd be about 8 years ago now. Jason had just left the Mormon church. Not just, but it had been out for a few months. I was the first one out. And he called me. And
how long ago did you leave?
I left, it would be about 11 years now. So it's the timeline's fuzzy because of a lot of things and drugs notwithstanding. But somewhere between 18 and 21, I'm going to guess right about 20, I had the personal moment of going, I don't believe anymore. But I couldn't leave the church yet. You know, I still financially, my parents were still a significant force of quote unquote support of a kind at that time. But also being the first one out is tough. So it would have been around 21 and a half-ish, halfway through my 21st year of life, that my brother outed me as atheist to my parents, because I had basically comforted him when the rest of the family was sort of disappointed in him because he had gotten his girlfriend pregnant out of wedlock. And sort of during this whole thing, I was like, hey man, well, just so you know, like, I'm not disappointed in you. And basically we had this conversation that seemed like a very good heart to heart and was great. And then the next time he felt like he wanted to get back at me for something, he revealed to my parents that I wasn't Mormon. And so that would have happened somewhere between.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Before turning 22. Yeah. So that's about 11 years ago for me now. As a lad who is only 32 years old but feels 62 because my colon went years ago. But anyway, so a couple years go by and I'm the only one out of the church, and my brother Jason calls me and he goes, "Hey, by the way, have you seen the new Mr. Deity thing?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "The new episode. He just dropped one." And I had not consumed a minute of YouTube atheism, except for some old debates of like Hitchens. I hadn't yet gotten into AXP. I hadn't yet gotten into anything. And he sends me this and I watch it. And so the thing I was saying beforehand that everybody missed was the big reveal is I am here today with the person who started my journey to becoming a YouTube atheist. Because your video, I watched that. I then watched like an entire series, like dozens of videos. And then I end up on watching AXP, where I get introduced to Matt. Now Matt and I, we see each other frequently, and he's on one of the programs on this show. I get into Aron Ra, and Jason was also who introduced me to Aron Ra, who was like, hey, you know how like you like biology and stuff? Well, there's this guy, Aron, and you know, the Steelman debater and everything. So up until that point, I only had the old guard awareness, like the Richard Dawkins, Christopher Hitchens, the people who were writing the books and putting out sort of the mass consumption. But I would say it's an honor, but I've learned to never meet your heroes. I'm sure you're a terrible piece of shit if I get to know you better. But
I I am a schmuck. I'm just the worst. I'm a terrible human being.
And literally every time I meet anyone who's like, I'm a big admirer, I tell them, I think you had said, not admirer, but you said, I've been watching your content, didn't know you were ex-Mormon. And I think I probably responded with, that's amazing to hear. It's all downhill from here. That's how anytime I meet anyone, it's like, if we're going to spend time together, I'd like to prepare you for true disappointment.
Yes.
However, what a surreal night this is. So for everybody watching, for everybody watching, you have at your disposal 2 ex-Mormons. And usually we like to keep it specific to call if you need help with your deconstruction, if you're an atheist. Call if you're a theist, especially. We like to hear, tell us why we want to believe in God or should believe in God. I'd still love to have those conversations. But anybody with a general curiosity about Mormonism may also call in if there's a thing you've heard or a thing you'd like to deconstruct. If you'd like to defend Mormonism, God, I would love that. I'd sit back and shut up for once and just enjoy the show, I think. But no, I'd join where I felt welcome, but I'd want to sit down and shut up. And
I am going to ask that everyone tonight on the show, as long as I'm on the show, use the term foreman. Yes. I coined that in 1993. It's a combination of former and Mormon foreman. I thought it just worked perfectly, and I'm still trying to get everyone on the planet to use that term for ex-Mormons because I think it's so much more appropriate.
My only reluctance is because I've recently coined a new character called Exmo Sizzliak. That's I'm glad you get the reference. Not everyone does.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's hard making a show that so many people who are millennials and Gen Z watch, and you're like,
yes,
The Simpsons was a thing, and we used to love it.
Yeah,
okay.
Yes.
It was. We do have
full of bigoted writers. Yeah.
Yes. It's the funny thing is the Simpsons was my dad's. We have 2 no pronoun given people tonight. Well, we'll ask them on. I don't want to spend as much time as we did last week, but we'll just ask the simple question of when people refer to you, what would you like to be referred to as? And we'll move on quickly.
One of my dearest friends, who has actually been on the Mr. Deity show as Asherah, used to be an animator on The Simpsons.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, that was my dad's. My dad's like guilty pleasure was allowed to do, even though there were. I don't know. My dad's rules fit whatever he wanted in the moment because that's how being a Mormon is, right?
That's the way you do it.
Exactly.
Everybody does it that way.
And for people who think I'm being rude because I'm clearly looking at my computer, I am not sending DMs or managing my OnlyFans feed. I am currently getting the name tags ready for. We have full lines. We have 4 people waiting. I'm ready to jump in if you are.
Yeah, let's go.
Take that first call. Awesome. We are going to start by talking to Gary in Pennsylvania. It's connecting here. Gary in Pennsylvania. Now, I have you in here with no pronouns at the moment. All I want, Gary, we don't have to make a fight about it, anything. There are going to be people in this live chat saying, talking about the call, and they're going to want to know whether you should be referred to as he or she or they or whatever you would like. So if you just give us that direction, we don't have to go down a 50-minute rabbit hole of woke cult like last week.
He.
Excellent. Thank you. That was so easy and painless, and I already like you. All right, Gary, you want to know, as a theist, why there is so much division in the world. We'll give you a minute here to go ahead and make your case, and then do be warned that because you've declared yourself a theist, I am going to want to dive in.
Yeah, sink your teeth, man. I think you're going to find me quite entertaining. I think
we'll see.
As a theist, I'm going to throw you a big red steak. You ever heard of May 21, 2011? Well, I was one of the, I would say, quote unquote, generals that helped proclaim this message. We spent over $120 million. I'm sure you guys may have heard of it, and I'll just cut it there. But if you'd like to talk to us even more, please do. Because,
no, don't leave.
I'm sure you guys.
Are you trying to get off the line?
No. I'm saying if you want to talk to us, maybe some other time to sink your teeth into it, because I think it's just good programming.
Yeah, you're talking about the Herald Camping. You're talking about the rapture.
Right.
From Herald Camping. Yeah, this came up earlier
Great.
today when we were on Aron Ra's show. Were you watching that show?
No, no.
Aron brought it up. The on May 21st, 2011, Harold Camping had predicted that would be the day of the rapture, and I believe, and you can correct me if you like, that that it was going to be the day that the world was split in two.
Something to that nature. There'd be a rolling earthquake starting in like Kiribati or New Zealand or Israel. We weren't sure. But
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. Major worldwide earthquake, nuclear fallout, such and such. I'm only saying this because it's red meat for you and your audience.
Right. Yeah, I guess
But,
my first question is, you say we, is that a collective you no longer hold to? Is this a past
No,
belief?
I'm dug in even more. I'm dug in even more now. In fact, this is why I'm asking, why is there so much division? And I wanted to preface it that although there's been world wars and politics, I would argue that we've never seen this scale of division. It's happening on a very macro and micro and major level, meaning countries against country. Sometimes we focus a lot on the U.S., but if you look at every nation, and I don't know if you'd agree with me or not, that's what I'm asking, it seems like everything in every aspect of our society is attacking itself. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that, and then I'd have a retort.
Yeah, my goodness, where to begin? Where to begin? I don't know whether to go with what you're talking about or what you've already said. So let's start with the division question, and then I hope you'll let us explore a little bit into your what you've called being dug in. So to begin, I don't disagree with you. There's a tremendous amount of division and polarization. It may be unprecedented. It actually may not. It may only be on a grander scale because now, in a metaphorical way, the world is smaller. Brian right now is only a couple thousand miles away from me, but we could do this exact show if he was on the other side of the world in a way that didn't even really exist in a, I want to say, technologically stable way 5 years ago, but we all saw the beginning of the show. I'm not going to call this a technologically stable show. But we do a show on Thursdays, the Transatlantic Call-In Show, and the whole reason it's called Transatlantic is that one host is from the UK and one is from the United States. So the world is metaphorically much, much smaller. I can sign into an app and call somebody all the way over in Pakistan a beta male cuck, is sort of the type of discourse you see these days. Oh, you disagree with me, therefore you are a hateful, terrible person. As far as how different it is from the past, and people can correct me if they don't feel the same, I think we've just replaced things we've had. So if you read literature about what precedes a civil war, that's what gets me scared, because it's this idea of this hatred usually is people who are ideologically opposed to me. I have almost a straw man in mind, and there's somebody that's far away. There's a scapegoat. I hate that person.
That's right.
Right. But now it's our neighbors, right? It's neighbors hating neighbors.
That's right.
It's a hard division. But as far as what's going also online, these are people getting a similar level of satisfaction, and this is why I try to tell people stop mistaking Twitter for real life. These are people participating in a same type of culture that years ago would have been, let's go down to the town square and watch an execution. That's great fun before the beginning of a date night, in my opinion.
So sir, the reason why I called is primarily because we May 21ers. Mm-hmm. We said that the end of the world had begun. We were inaccurate in some of the detailed information. We went back to the drawing board, researched all the information. Lo and behold, we actually found out that we were actually correct. Now, obviously,
before we go down there, because I'm ready to talk with you about that. I want to get Brian on specifically the increase of division, whether things are more divisive, whether things are headed toward, because I'm ready to have the doom clock conversation with you. But at first, I want to get Brian in on the original topic.
Yeah, I think historically there are cycles, and I think one of the biggest things that we're seeing right now is the death throes of white Christian nationalism in America and elsewhere, because it's kind of something that's happening all over the previously colonial world, and there is a grasping grasping, a desperate grasping to hold on to power in ways that we have not seen in this country since the Civil War. So I think, they don't give up. That's the thing. That is they've got the mandate from the big guy himself, and if God be for them, who can be against them? So there's not going to be any giving up, and I don't know where that ends, honestly, right now.
Yeah, I think the only
but,
thing
but what do you
real quick before you jump back in there, Gary, Brian, the only thing you said there that I not take issue with, but I wonder about is it the death throes? Because death throws, right. I'm very hopeful it's death throes.
Yes.
But you don't usually see an animal in their death throes suddenly stand up and be healthier than ever, alive, more alive than ever. And it seems like there's this new, it's a reemergence based on polarization and community. This thing that I'm trying to, I've brought up many times that I think that there are parts of my YouTube career where, because I fell into a culture that I regret falling into, where things became more exciting as it was more about watching a specific person being taken down a peg, as opposed to trying to challenge ideology and then say, if you are a fucking garbage person, I still acknowledge that, but my hopes for you aren't contemptible. I hope for reform, redemption, and for us to stand side by side fighting for what's right one day, not to say I've identified you as the bad guy and I will now isolate you only to communities of bad guys, because all that's happened is those communities have become huge. There's a place to go when you end up in that spot. And so that's...
Well, the other interesting thing is this country has been experimenting for the last 57 years with actually having a pluralist democracy.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to think about it. We've only had 100 years of half the population being allowed to vote.
Right.
And then in terms of minorities, particularly black people, you've only had that for 57 years. And as we get closer to those ideals set forth in the Declaration, which early America, we paid lip service to it, but we didn't give a shit about them for most of the people in this country. As those things have started to rise up and people who should have been equal the whole time are starting to get power and equality, that group of people who thought America was great, because it was great for them, are now like, oh, fuck, we can't have this. And it's that clawing to get it back and to keep people. And that's what you see I think, most prominently in all the 27 states who've passed laws to restrict voting. I mean, they just don't want the power of the people.
So our perspective is actually that on May 21st, the kingdoms actually started to turn in on themselves. So if you look at China right now, they're having problems. Russia, Ukraine, even Australia has problems. They're not telling you this, but whether it's COVID-19, which is medical, or financial, or BLM, Boogaloo Boys, if you think about this, and if you guys could really talk about this, because what this doomsday code is, what we're saying is the antimatter equation. If you're into DC Comics, the best way I could represent this, the antimatter equation is actually happening, where division is actually a sign of the end itself. And I know that there will be disagreement about that, but truly the best way for a kingdom to be overthrown is from within and not from without. We hear about that with our politicians.
Gary, as far as some of the minor elements that you're talking about here, I don't think you're going to find disagreement. Let's get to the May 21sters. And I'm just going to do a very quick and simple exercise with you. Has the world been getting worse in a direction toward potentially self-elimination of humanity since May 21st, 2012? Just yes or no? 2011, I'm sorry.
I would say no. I would say no. I don't think the end result is apocalyptic nuclear fallout.
Okay, sorry.
No.
What would the end result then be? Because what the end result is, I was surprised to hear the no, so I need to know. I'll adjust my framing for you to show you why I'm not a May 21ster.
It's more troubling and woe, and I think what's happening is that mankind is being given up to their visceral ways. It's actually that's the torment.
Sure. So
that's the torment.
Would it go toward? Could we say it's going toward an end of the world? It's been getting worse since then and heading toward an end of the world, right?
So the plagues themselves are not going to get worse to the point where the world is destroyed. It's
I know what you mean. I know.
On like this.
I'm giving you a metaphorical end that we are toward the end time. Sure. Can we go with that?
And so these plagues can, like.
Give me a 5-word end outcome. I'll go with whatever you want. Honestly, just give me 5 words.
5 words.
We're heading toward blank, and it's something you and I.
Ends with the rapture.
Real quick.
2033 is what we're possibly looking at.
No. Okay, let me finish the proposal so that you understand what I'm saying here, because we got to get on the same page for this exercise. You and I agree that we're heading towards something very negative, right? Possibly a civil war or something. Give me a 5-word thing that you think we're heading toward that for you might say the beginning of that end started on May in 2011. And for me, doesn't matter. But the same outcome we're talking about.
That's too difficult. My brain's not that big. All I can say is that. All
right, I can make it easy then. Things have been getting worse since that date, right?
Right.
And it's May 21st, 2011, right?
That's right.
All right, here's the exercise I'm doing, why I'm not a May 21ster. So you agree that since May 21st, 2011, things are getting worse?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to ask you another yes or no. Since May 20th, 2011, have things been getting worse?
I would say no.
So offsetting by 1 day, it's no longer getting worse from the 20th to the 21st?
That's right.
Okay.
That was Judgment Day.
Gary,
the 20th, there was a lot of hope.
Gary, is this a real call or are you fucking with me? Please tell me the truth.
Don't try that. Don't try that.
I'm asking you. I'm asking legitimately, Gary. I'm asking 100% legitimately.
Super legitimate.
You are 100% not fucking with me.
Gary, you do realize historically, people have thought this same thing over and over and over and over again.
Point.
People.
That's the point of science.
People had it much worse during the plague or even during the Civil War.
That's correct. But that's why I'm saying it's less violent, but it's more torment of the mind. That's why the infighting is so tormenting so far. With cancel culture, you have comedians slapping each other on stage.
Wait, you're gonna compare cancel culture? Wait, Gary. You're gonna compare cancel culture to the Black Plague?
Yeah, I got to tell you, Gary. I don't
want
to be controversial here. But I actually think killing Jews during World War II is worse than cancel culture.
Of course. But in our society today, we have a social reputation. And so even you and I, if we go out in the street and we share our views, there's always going to be a level of opposition to the point where our livelihoods could be at stake. And we have a social avatar now. We all have a persona that can be killed. And then
Gary, here's what's fascinating. Here's what's so fascinating, Gary. There is a side to your belief that I would take up smoking weed again just to sit with you and have the conversation about in total agreement. The social avatar, the difference, the pain, the way we try to murder somebody emotionally or murder their spot in society without actually taking their life, you and I could sit and talk about and just have so much. But then at the end of the day, where we're going to disagree is, I'm going to ask you another question. If somebody is ideologically motivated, could they pick any date from the past and say that was the day everything got worse?
That's the nature of confusion, yes.
And so I could, for example, you had a prediction about May 11th that had to do with nuclear war.
21st.
May 21st. I apologize. May 21st, 2011. May of 11, whatever. I'm just going to say May Day from now on. You had a prediction about May Day. And you're saying that's the day it gets worse. And I can actually say like, oh, you were close, actually. You were close, and we are heading towards something nuclear, but the date was actually the 13th of August, 1942, the day of the invention of the atom bomb. And that day, when the ability to kill that many people came into existence, is the day it all went shit from. Or I can then move back to the day of the birth of Albert Einstein. I can arbitrarily pick anything. And by the way, a lot of doomers are going to like the Albert Einstein one because it's really easy to get anti-Semitic there too. They love that.
Right. But what about the builder of the AK-47? He's killed far more people than any nuclear bomb. The AK-47 is the world's killing
Thank
machine.
you for helping me to debunk your point. Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that how provincial this all is as well. And and I don't want to use the term white privilege, but take
It's loaded.
just take black people 150 years ago or in 1946. Has it gotten better or worse since that period? And then even taken from May to this is just such broad brushing of better or worse, and how you measure such a thing in any meaningful way. I don't even understand why someone wants to go down this road. It's so weird to me.
You have to take into account that technology definitely drives societal change. So along with, obviously, there's going to be less murder and less horrible atrocities, because
I hate to do this to you again, Gary, but I don't want to keep wasting time on things we agree on. But we obviously know that technology influences societal change. We also know that it doesn't change anything about Brian's point, and we're getting back to agreeing. God, can't think of anything more boring. So let's get back to.
Well, it sounds like you know something's up, but you're looking at it from a nuclear perspective.
No. I went with all that exercise was to give you that I can take any arbitrary date and do your May Day thing.
Right, but our date actually comes from the Bible, and that's where the disagreement.
So here, let's get to that disagreement.
May 21st.
Here, let's get to that disagreement.
May 21st was
Why
the
is the Bible true?
Because God says it is.
When did God say that?
Where?
It's in Psalms, and it says his word is settled in heaven.
Okay.
But how do you know the Bible is his word?
Above his very name.
Wait, how do you know the Bible is his word? How do you know the Bible is his word? Where?
Because he says so.
No, he says you just quoted a scripture saying his word, but I'm asking, how do you know the Bible is his word? That's someone saying that his word is.
So there's the premise of faith. It's the evidence of things not seen. And so
how do you know? How do you know what to have faith in?
Well, the faith is God himself, and he actually finds you. And so with the election process in the Word, that person is grabbed out.
How do you know? How do you know?
Christian language. Well, the Spirit will witness with your spirit.
How do you know that there's a spirit who does such a thing?
I'm having a crisis of Poe's law so bad right now.
It's the eternal, in your words, it's the eternal force of power. I'm putting it in your terms, but in our terms, we call that the Spirit of God.
But how do you know? First of all, you don't know that there's a God, and then you don't know that if there is a God, he works.
I know.
He works. No, you're right, but you don't know. You can't demonstrate.
Yeah, Brian, you actually used the word. You said faith, and then you described that as the belief in something unseen. You've described belief, not knowledge. Where did you go from belief to knowledge?
I never went to knowledge until the belief gives you the knowledge. So the spiritual force, which we call the Spirit of God, gives you the faith to believe. And therefore that belief is a hope, and that hope gives you trust, and that trust gives you faith. That faith gives you strength until you die. And that's why death
knowledge, oh my God. Knowledge is demonstrable, right?
Right.
Knowledge is actually demonstrable.
Knowledge is demonstrable, and that's why
it's actionable too, right?
So Christianity has done a terrible job in some regards, and that's not with Christ in there. I'm taking people who take the name Christian, and they do atrocities. So folks like you would say Christianity can't be true because there's so many bad people using God's name.
No, I said
true Christian.
No, I wouldn't. That's a terrible argument. But I'll give you a good argument. Jesus said with just the slightest bit of faith, you could do truly miraculous things. He said that believers would do greater things than he did. He raised people from the dead, healed the sick right on the spot. Can you do that?
Correct.
You can do that.
Yes, but not literally. That's why he said if your faith was as a grain of a mustard seed, it's invisible. It's
where does it say it's literally? He did it literally.
I'm sorry, could you...
And he did it literally, and he said you would be able to do greater work.
So that's the point. You see, God is a spirit. He wrote a physical book, and only certain people can actually understand it.
Well, God didn't write the physical book.
Goes into that
How do you know?
Everybody else who reads it doesn't understand.
How do you know, Gary? How do you know there's a spirit?
My spirit.
How do you know that you have a spirit that connects? How do you know that's the spirit and not just what you want psychologically to be going on in your head?
It's designed
every
that
other
way
religion
for you to be confounded.
Gary, every other religion
thinks designed.
Jimmy and I were both Mormon. Okay, we had the burning in the bosom, right?
That's right.
We had that too.
Well, the Mormon religion was always apostate. It didn't have the true gospel. So unfortunately, your experience.
Well, how do you know
really
you have the true gospel?
And that's the nature of the truth. It's not for everyone to feel. It's not for everyone to know the truth. The truth is only given to a select people.
Oh my
How
God.
do you know?
Did you know that?
No, here, Gary. Here's what I want to know.
How do you know, Gary? How do you know that?
He's never going to answer you. I want to take him down a slightly different path.
The Spirit reveals it.
Because I know.
Right, Gary.
The Word of
your
God
answer is because I know.
Gary,
That's what your answer is.
Gary, do Mormons have faith?
No.
Gary, do Mormons have faith?
Everyone has what they call faith, but there's faith of Christ.
So
that is from God himself.
Mormons are listen,
Gary.
Gary. Listen, Mormons, I have heard the exact words from that you're saying. Not only have I heard them, I've said them. That it's the confirmation, it's the feeling. When you feel God, you know it's God.
Not the feeling. They really messed up on that.
Okay.
And that's where the signs and lying wonders start to come in.
When you experience the hope, you use the word hope, which by the way is a feeling. When you experience the hope, when you experience the confirmation, it's a knowledge. In fact, Mormons sort of socially punish each other if you say hope instead of no. If you say, I hope the church is true, you are considered just filth, basically. That's not socially acceptable. So how do I
sit Did you know we came out of all churches in 1988? All churches were corrupt in 1988.
I agree.
All churches.
I agree, including
to this
yours.
Day,
and I think they're all.
Church
and I think your church is corrupt today, and I think all churches are corrupt today, and I think every church was.
I'm not part of the church. I just told you the churches were all dead in 1988.
Sure. I think I won't say dead, but I think all churches are corrupt. Period. You know, give me a church.
I wish all churches were dead.
You're an atheist. Wait a minute. You're an atheist, and you can't say churches are not dead. You're the prototype of all people should be saying the church is dead.
What would
they are definitely not dead, Gary.
Yeah,
they are definitely.
They're double dead.
Not dead.
Now that you said it, it's double dead.
Acting.
Why are you breaking out so badly for me, Brian? I feel like the network shit's been just terrible today. You're just breaking out for me. Let me see if on my side it's telling me why. Do you want to give just another refresh? I don't know what to fucking. This has been the worst tech night I've ever had in a long time. Just another refresh might help. It is not yet better. I don't show us. Okay, we're back in. Gary, in the sense that you are wanting me to say the church is dead, and you are afraid, or you are surprised I won't. In the sense I would use the word dead to match what you're suggesting as an atheist, I would also say it's always been dead or it's never been alive. Because I don't think there's been an ounce of truth, especially when talking about Christianity, pushing those religions forward. I think they have been opportunistic individuals with a level of ego and self-importance who have been able to advantageously use a system that they may not even be aware that that's what's going on. But when you're born into it with that amount of privilege and power, you're very excited to continue the expanse of that privilege and power. So in the sense that you want me to say that religion is dead, it's always been dead, as is yours.
Well, the majority of all religions have been tainted with human tradition, government overreach, manipulation, abuse, crime.
Which religion hasn't been? You said the majority. Give me one that hasn't.
The true religion.
which
pure
is
religion and undefiled is true Christianity.
I am having
And it's
such
not
a
a
post-law
denomination.
crisis. I am genuinely sitting here going, all right, man, here's the deal. When I was a Mormon, or if I bring a Mormon on, they're going to tell me very, very similar things to you. How do I, as a person, even if I say one of you is right, even though both of you could be wrong, how do I find out the person who, which of the two of you who tells me I can get the confirmation of the true religion, the Spirit of God? Mormons have a song by that exact title. Mormons also preach the idea of one true religion, and it's only theirs.
Think about this.
You guys,
that's the nature of eternal life. Think about it.
Gary,
To
that's not
get
my
to
question.
heaven-
The nature of eternal life,
Right.
I don't even care about. I wouldn't want to live eternally. I wouldn't want heaven to be real, even if it was. But I would accept it because I care more about truth than what's true. Or not, I care more about truth than what's true. That's nothing. I care more about truth than what feels good or bad. You, Gary, talking to me, have a sort of pitch. Mormons have a pitch that it's very similar, but they just substitute your true Christianity with their true Christianity, which they call Mormonism. I hear both of your pitches. They sound extremely the same. How do I find out which one of you is correct if one of you is?
You actually won't on your own. So the mystery of God is given to those who are chosen for it.
Right, that's crazy.
So it's not really a race to the top, right? I open my bag of goodies and say, well, I have this and you have that. God actually finds his people through the truth, not through denominations, not through Mormonism, Pentecostal, Protestant, Catholic, all of those denominations. God may have used some of them or most of them at a certain time, but he did away with all of that.
So okay, Gary, we're already boring me again. So we've got these two pitches, and you're saying I won't find it. They say I will, right? So you both are having an experience of confirmation that even though it completely is defined as a feeling, you don't want to use the word feeling, but so we won't. You're having this experience of confirmation. You know that God has chosen you. They know that God has chosen you, but you're right and they're wrong. What are they feeling?
They're wrong. They are wrong because they can't tell you who God's choosing.
Where is their experience coming from?
They have a doctrine that was set by some, patriarchy, and they designed their own traditional laws and their creeds, and so they're wrong in their doctrine. So what they do is they give you a false sense of hope.
Right.
They burden you with tasks and goals that they can't even do themselves.
Where does the experiences of confirmation come from? If it's not God,
it comes from an ongoing desire to do the will of God. So you might actually have more hope than the person who's actually in the pews in the churches. Outside, you as an atheist have a better chance right now of having a closer relationship with God. Outside,
so to be clear, because I think we have to wrap this up, because your answers are very interesting, and to a person who believes, I can see why they're appealing. But at the end of the day, you're coming to me and you're telling me that the only way, I'm telling you, I want to know the truth, and all you have to do is prove it to me, right? And your response is, I can't, only if God decides will it be proven to you.
So
why should we?
You're very intelligent to pick that up.
Why should we spend another second on a truth that we can't know is true unless a God comes and just chooses us for that? Why should I believe in a God prior to his choosing if there's no other good reason to believe it? Not even no other good reason. There's good reason to believe he doesn't exist.
Losers will disqualify themselves, and that's what we are.
No.
We don't like that message. We don't like the narrative, so we disqualify ourselves.
Should I believe in a God if there's no good proof before he chooses me to believe? If he hasn't chosen me, should I believe in him still?
I would say yes. He commands us all to believe, even if you don't.
But he won't prove himself. He'll prove himself to you, but not me.
That's right.
So why should I believe in him?
Or if I'm his elect, and vice versa.
Are you
if
his elect?
You're his elect, he'll prove himself to you.
Are you his elect?
I hope I am.
So you
I'm sorry, I got to use that word hope.
So you don't even know whether or not he's confirmed to you that he exists.
I have some levels of assurance, I must say, but I can't boast.
My God.
Most Mormons will say, I got saved on this day, or I walked down the aisle. True Christians don't do that.
Yeah, not
they will
you.
Not guarantee
not you, the true
salvation.
Christians. Gary, I think that it's so interesting to hear you say things that debunk your own points, but you're sitting here going, I should still believe even though I can't know until he chooses me.
Well, God is God. Who are we, man? We're little gods.
I exist. There's that. Die. I mean, I'm a person who has experienced his life. I can prove my existence to you easily. You can prove your existence to me.
Yeah,
Actually, in every way, Michael.
I mean, think about it. You're only on this earth for 70 years. Is that a life that you want to be proud of? 70 years of an average life?
Jimmy doesn't commit genocide. He doesn't order other people to commit genocide. He doesn't tell people to kill young girls who don't bleed on their wedding night when he knows, because he's an all-knowing God, that women don't always bleed on their wedding night. I mean, I would instantly worship Jimmy over your God.
Yeah, not only do I think I'm better than God, Gary, I think you're better than God.
Yeah.
Well, that's terrible. And the good news is...
By what standard that you can prove? You've said none. You've said you can't. It won't ever happen.
I'm not a salesman. But I can tell you this. You guys are super intelligent, and the best part is if you're not, either one of you are in a church, you cannot stop yourself from being saved. And that's the part I really want to emphasize. You can actually be the most staunch atheist, but if you are outside of the churches, if you never attended church at a certain time, you cannot disqualify yourself if God chooses to elect you. And there's nothing you can do about it.
I'm going to give you my
Gary,
last...
If he doesn't choose you, there's nothing you can do about it.
Go ahead, Brian.
Gary, So God set up a system where we have to believe a particular thing, right, to be saved?
No,
is that right?
The Word of God does all the work. As long as you're in earshot, and if God has selected you before the foundation of the world, that's at ebiblefellowship.org.
Yeah, this is very Jehovah's Witness style doomsday shit. I honestly...
No.
Gary,
Jehovah Witnesses?
Yeah, they're wrong too, I know.
They don't think Jesus is God.
I know. Well, they literally
do. They
do.
don't believe in true election.
They literally do.
And they only think 144,000 people are going to be saved. We're learning
they've adjusted that too. They adjusted that too to the 144 chosen.
They have to, because they have more than 144,000 members.
I guess the best I can do is just hope that he chooses me.
And it doesn't matter at all whether or not literally anything else you can do.
Has chosen me because the door is shut right now. There's no more salvation.
Gary, I want to move on, so I'm going to give a last point, and then I'm going to give you 10 seconds to make your last point. My last point to you is you definitely are a salesman. You are a salesman of self-confidence, self-delusion, and self-aggrandizement. And it is truly, I think, a God complex that makes you think you can tell others and dictate to others this idea of the chosen of God's people. You got 10 seconds, and then I'm hanging up. Go for it, buddy.
May 21, 2011 was Judgment Day. I'm sure you guys may have heard of it. ebiblefellowship.org has a lot of teachings on there. You guys are great. I love your program. Offer Chris McCann to come on. He does a lot of Bible studies. You'll have a full debate.
Anybody can come on. Anyone can come on the same way you came on. So you get Chris, and we'll talk to Chris. I hope we talk again one day, Gary. Right. I really do.
Mr. Deity passes all his blessing on to you, by the way.
Yeah.
I just talked to him the other day.
Hang on, I'm just going to... I'm going to write a note here this is important. Really, to me...
By the way, you'll find this interesting. I was actually in San Francisco, in Oakland, I think, speaking at an event, because we all of us had a big event day for the end of the world on that day. I don't remember exactly what day it was. And I was actually speaking when we had a minor earthquake in the Bay Area.
That's awesome.
So I brought the heat. With me, and everyone was like, "Oh shit!" There's a great picture of a whole bunch of us being taken up. In fact, somewhere you can probably see it on Facebook somewhere. We all jumped at the same time in the picture.
I missed the days that we had. I think it was Matt and I took the call. We had a call where somebody called in and was like, "I believe in God because He'll tell me truth. I can ask Him anytime you want. You want me to ask." And I was like, fine, let's do the exercise. And we just did coin flipping, and it was going to be, ask your God, under my hand, is this heads or tails? And he got it wrong on the first one. And he was like, okay, you're right, I'm wrong. And he gave it, and he conceded the whole thing. He was like, holy shit. And I know, that was like a magic one. This is the note I was writing down. It says, you must send Jimmy Snow all of your money. But then you'll also notice the note under it, which says, this note is true. You see, which... is sort of an exercise in the Bible is true. How do you know that? Because the Bible says it is.
So true, yes.
You can find me on PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, everywhere. You can
That,
super
by the
chat
way,
all your money.
That is exactly how I know that Trump is a very smart person.
That's right, because he tells us so.
Because he tells me so.
I will say Trump has mental capabilities that I have never seen equaled by anybody elsewhere.
Well, he can declassify documents with his brain.
A mere thought.
Impressive. So impressive.
With the process, okay, I could just think it. What is your time constraints as far as?
I don't have any.
Let's go all night then. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm popular. I'm not a popular person.
I'm going to let then our call screener determine how long we go because I know she's on limited time. So I think we've got 4 calls right now. We'll probably run through those, but there are some doozies in here. Let's try and cleanse the palate a little with somebody who's just looking for a little help and assistance. And then we'll move on. We've got caller number 2, pronouns he, they. This is Liam, an atheist from, I've written Pennsylvania, despite the fact that my notes clearly say Nevada. I can update that very quickly. Liam, good to talk to you again. And let's hear what you have to say.
Hey.
Hi.
Hold on, sorry. I just had a brain fart.
It's all good. It's half of my content.
Yeah, I want to.
Welcome to my.
Yeah.
I want to ask about both atheist and theist hypocrisy. And I was thinking about. I was watching Atheist Experience earlier today, and I tried to call in, and it didn't work.
Those elitists.
You know, I like my atheist shows without tech issues, but.
Oh, fuck you, Liam. How dare you? How dare you? It was going so well. Anyway, go ahead, Liam.
But, yeah. I go to like a Christian school for like the education, not for much longer, but you know, it's like a not for the religious thing. But I see so many people, like teachers, and like every teacher has like a little sticker with like America with an American flag over it with like "In God We Trust" or like "The Nation of God" or something like that over it. Mm-hmm. It just makes me so irritated.
Sure.
Like they talk about the Second Amendment all the time. Second Amendment rights. I can like do whatever I want, you know. But then they violate they're not violating it because they're a private school, but like. Then they have all these stuff about, America's like a religious nation. I just, Well, how are they? I understand it's like cognitive dissonance, or maybe they just don't know, but like, it frustrates me, how pervasive it is.
Liam, is just emotional and intellectual dishonesty to give you the boring answer. But I'm afraid, especially now that you've been so mean to me, I'm ready to antagonize you a little. I'm much, much more interested to hear your example of atheist hypocrisy. And I'm not a person who's here to defend atheists. I think most of them suck. So I'm willing to indulge, but I would love what is an example of atheist hypocrisy?
I guess it'd be not no, actually I have a better example. I think that no, that's actually not a good example. I'm going with my first example.
I like you, Liam, because I recognize the chaos of your brain. I'm not telling you to get screened for autism like me, but I do like it.
Okay. Let me think on this. Hold on.
Liam,
yes.
Liam,
I remember it again.
Liam, how old are you?
13.
Dude, you're awesome.
Yeah,
you're awesome. If the words cognitive dissonance could have come out of my mouth at 13, my head would have exploded.
Yeah, the advantages you have for even being aware of such a concept are things I only envy.
Yeah,
and I resent you a little for it, but it's out of envy.
We all resent somebody. It's okay.
Yeah.
But I find it's not applying skepticism to all things. Like I see so many atheists falling under the astrology traps and all these pseudoscience.
I hear you.
Bothers me, you know?
I hear you, and I'm afraid I have something to tell you. You fell into my trap, and I wanted to antagonize you, and you've done so. Believing in astrology.
Darn it.
Yeah, I know. Believing in astrology or Wiccanism any of those things are not atheist hypocrisy. If they identify as skeptics,
I know where you're going.
it is skeptic hypocrisy. Atheists propose one thing and they don't even really propose it. They just don't propose it. They don't believe in God. So if you can believe in astrology without believing in a God, you have performed zero atheist hypocrisy. However, Liam, I only wanted to antagonize you because you were mean to me. And I understand what you're saying. And I'm going to share with you what you are truly lamenting, which is the disillusionment one finds when they go out into the atheist world and find out, what the fuck? I was told I was going to find humanists and skeptics out here, and all I found is a big old bag of dicks. I don't know if I should say that to a 13-year-old. Probably also someone who lied about being 13 so that he could be on the show, but is actually 12. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know whether you did that. Don't answer, because I'll have to hang up if you admit to that. I share in your lamenting that skepticism is not ubiquitous, which is, I think, the third time I've used that word this show, and I'm getting paid by the ubiquitous amongst.
I agree with Liam. I think it's one of the saddest things is when people who don't believe in God pick up other kinds of silliness.
Totally.
And don't move towards learning critical thinking skills and figuring out, you got away from that religion thing, but there are still all kinds of horrible, stupid ideas that you can fall into.
And it makes me worry that the reason why Christianity is diminishing in popularity is only because it optically now looks bad. That it is now the case that if you say you're a Christian, the work you're first going to have to do is assure people whether you are or not a bigot too. Because while I want to see Christianity defeated, I don't want to see it defeated at the cost of just pushing everybody into the hands of astrology, which is still a harmful ideology, despite all of the DMs I get every time I mention that, going, it's not like we did the Holocaust. Can't remember the last time an astrologer committed genocide. God. And listen, if it becomes popular enough, it's only a matter of time. However, there is active damage being done to individuals on the basis of astrology today. And if somebody wants to call in and challenge me on that, I got a book of examples ready. And the book ends with a passage saying that book is true. Liam, I think you're on an awesome road, even though I hate you. And I am glad that we have young skeptics, and I hope that you are going to be a force for promoting skepticism amongst your peers. And I suspect that's exactly what you're going to do. If you have another question or challenge or anything, we'll go with it. But otherwise, we're going to head to the next one there, buddy.
Liam, I'm going to have Mr. Deity. Go ahead, Liam.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was just going to tell you that I'm going to have Mr. Deity magicify your underwear, just so you know.
That's right.
You got that to look forward to.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Liam may not be aware of Mormon stuff. That might have been totally.
That's okay. That's okay.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Hey, any kind of magnification of the underwear is a beautiful thing.
Good. Yeah. Though if you don't know the context, it's a very strange thing to hear out of nowhere.
No, I've heard of Mormon magic underwear. I've heard of it.
Good enough.
I thought you had.
That makes a lot more sense.
Last word here, Liam.
Okay. So I want to say, people who say that fossils aren't real or that there are no transitional fossils or like old fossils make me angry, because I was looking on the fossil website and I found part of a whale rib with megalodon bite marks on it, and I'm just like, how can you see something like that and be like, it's a government lie?
A scientist used spackle to get paid, obviously, Liam. God, I thought you were a skeptic.
Oh, of course.
Have a good one, buddy.
Of course.
It's Satan.
And then wait,
That way.
Let me give my spicy hot take about private schools. Private schools, or at least religious private schools, are a stupid concept. They're just indoctrination camps.
I think we agree. Thank you, Liam.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
I like Liam,
but
I
love Liam.
I do too.
Liam.
I like Liam because I recognize the chaos in his brain, but I also recognize that if I didn't take control, he would have happily taken the remainder of the hour. Easy. And you know what? One day when he actually turns 13 and then 18 and then whatever, I hope he ends up hosting some shows himself. I think he's going to be great. Whenever somebody says they're 13 on the internet, I assume it's the same as when you've got alcohol and somebody asks if they can have a shot and you go, how old are you? And they say 21. And it's like, well, now I need to see your ID. Yeah.
You got to go with at least 23.
Exactly. Give me a lie I can believe that I'm not skeptical of. Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
You get it. Right. Let's talk to Carl. Carl, we're going to have to do the same thing with you and just ask, we don't have to get in a fight about it, Carl. Just, could you tell me when people are in the chat talking about your call, would you like to be referred to he, she, or they?
Oh, he for sure. I don't even know why I didn't mention he in the beginning. So
brilliant. No worries. Excellent. Good stuff. And you want to talk about why you are a Christian. And when you say a Christian, you mean more than just culturally. You mean you believe Jesus Christ came and died for our sins?
I will change it a bit. So the last caller who called in, Gary, I'm actually part of the same group.
Oh, we're doing a lineup.
I'm just, yeah. Well, he referred me. He said, hey, you should call in. So he wasn't sure if he was going to get in, so I called in. So yeah, we could talk about whatever. You can ask me anything about 821 or, I guess we'll see where the conversation goes.
Do you also believe that God has to pick me to be saved?
Yeah, so, most Christians, I'm sure you know. So, actually, I wanted to, I don't know if you mind doing this, but I don't know anything about your show, so maybe afterwards you could briefly tell me about, your background and the, just so I can see, where you came from, from your religious perspective. Sure. But yeah, basically to answer your question, yeah. The Bible does teach that, this is what I believe in the Bible, is that there is an election. Most churches, or I pretty much say most, if not all, no, I wouldn't say all, but most churches teach, that you have to accept Jesus, do some sort of work.
Man, I'm so sorry to do this, Carl, but we're going to have to, for me to truly justify to be here, we're going to have to speed round and go a little Socratic, right?
Because, that's fine. Yeah, just skip whatever you don't want to talk about. We'll just skip over.
Well, it's not that I don't want to. It's that if it's truly at the place where you can say, I believe the Bible is true. And if I say, why do you believe the Bible is true? And you give me something like, you'll believe it too if God chooses you, or you could know if God chooses you. And there's not a method by which through conversation, you can give me a good reason to believe, other than maybe the threats of if I don't believe. I don't care to have.
Okay, well, it depends on why I understand that. So if I came on here to try to convince you, that would be in vain, because you can't. You can't even convince me of, it's not. No one can really convince another person of something, right?
No, not right.
Everyone has to come to their.
Okay, in an existential sense of you only change your own mind, sure. In a sort of very existential sense. However, it doesn't mean that your mind won't be changed as a result of conversations and exercises that happen.
People can be convincing, sure.
I've seen it in real time, and I've seen it in emails with holy shit, you made this point, and that was the moment my shelf broke. I've seen it happen on a personal level. I know Brian has too, and then I'm aware of it happening amongst all of my peers as well. So I think there probably are exercises. Here's the problem I have, Carl, and why I don't know that I care to do this again. In talking to your colleague, we'll say, it is an extremely dishonest method of engaging with people. Because at the end of the day, it's just pure proselytization without a single offer of just demonstrable truth. And boy, I cannot. You said you don't really know what this show is. And if I could give you the number one tagline for the Sunday show, it's to get callers to call us and tell us what they believe and why we should believe it too. And it doesn't sound like you can give me a why I should believe what you believe. Is that right?
Well, that's a very important. Yeah, that's a very important thing to say, because most Christians, I would say, would come on there to try to convince you, right? Because they are under the false assumption that they can convince, somehow bring in people. They try
Carl,
everything.
You and any Christian can convince me with proof, 1,000%.
No, I don't really think that. I don't really think so, because there's plenty of biblical accounts where people believed, right? Mm-hmm. People believe the devil. If you're familiar with the Bible, the devils believe and tremble.
Familiar with the Bible.
It does not matter. It does not matter what you believe, because believing isn't enough. So
I don't believe the Bible is true. So your example that demonstrates how I'm wrong, that I would believe even against truth presented, doesn't fit with me. But here's the thing. Let's say you're right. Yeah. Humor me anyway and offer me the proof of the Bible that it's true.
Well, that's the thing, is that that's something I cannot do.
Because it doesn't exist, or because my heart is hard against hearing it?
Well, let me ask you this, right? Mm-hmm. If somebody's blind, right?
Right.
And I try to describe a sunset to them, right? No matter how many times I describe that sunset, they're never going to be able to experience it, right? So it does not matter how many times I could sit there all day and try to tell him what it's about. He's going to have all these ideas about what that experience is going to be like.
Carl.
What's that?
Not Brian.
Yeah.
Carl.
Yeah.
Then there's no reason to keep doing this, because your defense is there's no thing I can understand, because you have a literal superpower that is a mere whatever level. I haven't pokey evolved into it yet. I don't have the power that you have. In your scenario, I don't have the sense of sight that you have, even though there are a tremendous number of things that even a blind person could learn scientifically about what your experiences what experience is happening, how the light is being scattered. You could bring a purely scientific presentation. That's what your metaphor offered, but you and I both know you couldn't do the equivalent of that, of what I'm saying you could do with a blind person to prove the Bible.
That's true.
Because no proof exists. And in fact, scientifically, anthropologically, I understand from the last guy that you'd probably say, yeah, those were the metaphors, but we have pretty good reasons to believe not only did Moses, for example, is the Bible not true, but Moses never existed as even a historical character. The Exodus is made up. Adam and Eve are made up. These are impossible concepts to take literally. So what reason
it's
should
impossible,
we stay
but how
here?
do you because you're basing your evidence based off what's currently reasonable on the earth, right? Like, obviously,
you weren't there.
We don't see the Red Sea splitting.
You weren't there back then,
so,
right? And the Red Sea also never did split, because there would have been proof.
I don't know how true this story is, but apparently they found chariot wheels in the water.
Oh my God! I'm so glad you said that. Oh my God, Carl, I'm so glad you say that.
I'm not saying that's true, though.
No,
I
know you're not.
Bringing that up.
I know you're not saying that's true, because that would be wild. And this is why we're going to end on this, because I am positive that you will have heard that. And even though you say you don't know it's true, you will have taken it in as an affirmation. The report.
No, it's just I haven't verified it.
Sure.
Because I haven't verified it.
It's not only not true, it was a parody magazine that originally reported that. A literal Christian version of The Onion that you and other Christians, now you did the I don't know if it's true. It is presented to, this is pure proselytization only for the sake of seeing, if I throw this out there with the confidence, who's going to go to the website, who's going to call, who's going to check it out. That's the entirety of the exercise. When I literally, right before I gave that, the first person, don't remember his name because I'm bad at that, but the first person, I gave the last 10 seconds. But before I did, I said something purposefully a little antagonistic. To see, will he use the 10 seconds to respond, or will he use the 10 seconds to do the Mormon equivalent of bearing his testimony? And he did what I expected, and that was it's just wasting people's time, honestly, at this point, for people who are here to hear their own advertisements go out. And that's why I hung up the call. Let's see. We've got 3 more. Okay. So there's a call being screened right now. If it's all good for you and timing is good, I say we cap the lines here and we take the 4 remaining calls, and call it a night after that. Does that work for you?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right. Let's palate cleanse again. We're going to talk to an atheist. This is Russell from Australia. Always happy to talk to somebody down under and then insult them by doing that impression.
I love Australia.
I do too. I really do. Russell wants to ask about our opinion of supernatural things.
That's correct.
Go for it.
And also, I appreciate you not sort of putting me in the same category with Ken Ham there, even though I'm from Australia.
Yeah.
We're not all like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I regret that I would have rather had the call from Kent Ham, but I'll do my best with you, because that would just be a treat for me.
Yeah, it would be more entertaining. Atheist calls are very interesting, I find, on these shows. I usually fast forward them. So if you want to wrap me up at any point, that's cool.
But you know what, though? I'm so glad you're aware of that. Your question will be important for a small group of people, so we're going to take it and we're going to respond. But I really love that you have that self-awareness.
That's why I love you, Jimmy.
Oh, thank you. Thank you,
Awesome.
Russell.
And Brian, g'day, mate. I actually haven't seen you on the show before, but I hate it when people call in and don't say hello to the co-host. Really
I do too.
Me, that does.
Oh, well, thank you, Russell.
Yeah.
Thank you. Give it to us,
Yeah,
Russell.
nice to meet you, Brian. Okay, well,
Good to meet you.
so I'm sort of along the lines of fundamental atheist or anti-theist, and sort of went through after I had like a Christian upbringing in all boys Catholic school, and
Oof.
even though in the back of my mind I always knew that it was sort of bullshit, but anyway, so and then once I realised that for sure that it was all crap and everything, I was sort of angry about atheism, and sort of was just waiting to meet a Christian. So with all this new information that I could rip them apart, got over that. Now I'm just sort of like a much more mellow atheist. But I do find really interesting is like those just sort of other paranormal stuff, and I don't know. What do you guys think about the? I mean, like the idea that of a ghost, like a physical form of a human leaving the body after the brain dies, is just so ludicrous. But yet, there's kind of some good evidence to support it.
Brian, do you want to take it first?
Yeah, well, I'd be interested in the evidence. I'm always interested in evidence. I don't have any interest in anything which we can't know anything about, which to me is why, I call myself an apatheist, which the tagline that I use is I don't care if God exists, even if he does. And the reason why is because we have no way to know anything about God's existence, his character, or his will. So even if you think he does exist and he can do all the things that he's supposed to be able to do, we can't know anything about it. And within the Christian idea, you have it's the stupidest thing. You actually have God, and then you have an opposition to God whose minions are hell-bent on deceiving us all. So even if you think you know something, you never know if it's God or if it's Satan tricking you. And it's my thing is I want to know what we can know about. What can we know about? If we can know about some soul leaving the body, I absolutely want to know about that. But I need to know how we would know, and what is the evidence? I'm not aware of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just going to give my thoughts on it. Here's the thing. It's sort of in the same way that people have near-death experiences. If they're in America, they all see Jesus, right? Not all, but most of them see Jesus.
Yeah.
If they're in the Middle East, they have some Muslim-related. It might be Muhammad. It might be Allah. It might be a jinn. There's a lot of different things that it can be. If they're in the Hindu country, it's something related to Hinduism. I've just noticed that it's very strange that 90% of ghosts are humans, 8% are dogs, and 2% are cats. And you would just think if ghosts exist, and we're still saying the natural world sort of exists, and everything that, like, obviously as atheists and skeptics, we understand that we're not just constantly being pelted by quadrillions of ghost mosquitoes. It seems very strange to me that there are so many things that are missing from this ghost world. And so I understand when people go like, hey, this specific thing or this place that feels terrible. It's very funny to me, though, that they've got these meters now that can supposedly detect things, and they never go with like, oh, here's electromagnetism that's increasing, therefore this is proof of a ghost. I won't say never, but they don't go with, oh, here's electromagnetism, which hypothetically could be fucking with your brain and making you more paranoid and making you more prompt to have this sort of general feeling of maybe heaviness or presence of something that's not actually there, but we actually do have the ability to sense electromagnetism. We just don't identify it so clearly as we do sense of taste and shit. And therefore something that's what's going on. Like the idea that there might be a natural phenomenon going on that people are quickly saying is ghosts, that I'm fine with. They're just not ghosts, because otherwise where are the quadrillions of fucking ghost mosquitoes all the time?
Has anyone ever claimed to have seen a T-Rex ghost?
Not that I've heard.
That would be
I agree with everything you're saying. Yeah. Brian, I just wanted to say, are you saying that because you can't ever understand, even if you could sort of have some good evidence, in scientific conditions, not that, just that something occurred that was, abnormal, you could never know, all the evidence would be is there was something there was an anomaly, and to say what that was or anything like that is something you could never understand. Same with God. So are you saying then that it's sort of not worth, like,
yeah,
I don't know. Even though I agree with all of that, I still find it interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to know because to me, knowledge is about actionable information that we can use to make our lives in the world better. That's really all I give a shit about. Yeah. All of this stuff that people talk about that we can't replicate, that we can't, or to the extent that we can, maybe once or twice, we can't replicate it over and over again. It ceases to become an actionable knowledge that we can use to make the world a better place. And there's so much.
I agree.
We only have so much time. Each of us, as humans and as season, I'm doing what I can do within what I have available to me, my brain, and all of that stuff to try to. I found my little niche, but there are who could spend their time focusing on things where, someone might have an idea.
Well, no answer. When there's no answer at the end. Yeah, that's what you're saying, right?
Yeah,
why waste your time when you're never going to know the truth of it all? Yeah. I see. Yeah, I can understand that, and I do agree. But I just still can't. I just still find myself kind of watching these compilation shows.
Well, it is fascinating.
Looking at them very skeptically, but sometimes I sort of go, I don't know. There's something to it, even though I agree with everything you guys are saying. I don't sort of, because I'll never understand it, but I'll just, I even though I agree with that, like sort of people that claim that things follow them and all that, and, it's so, it's totally unknowable, like the concept of a God or anything like that, but I still find myself considering it. And you guys never
I'm fascinated by the psychology of those people. There's another place where we can actually learn something. Yeah.
I think Peter Atkins said something really interesting when he was doing a debate with Turek, I think, and the guy asked them that standard question of what would convince you of the other's position, and Atkins, I can't remember what the Christian argument was, it was stupid, but Atkins said, even if I witnessed something that was, so miraculous as a conversion, I would go straight to a psychologist and have my brain looked at before I made any life decision about that event. So, yeah, I think that sums it up perfectly, but... I'll probably leave it there. But I just wanted to Jimmy, also say, undoubtedly, Dillahunty is the headmaster of these kind of shows. Like I've just watched them all. Once I discovered the Atheist Experience, I just binged it for like 2 years. I just spent so long looking at that big fat head of his. I just binged it for so long, and I love that guy. But I can't sort of watch Dillahunty anymore because I just find he's just a little bit, like I watched the episodes when he was younger before he was kind of jaded by idiots, and now he's just heard it all so much that he's like, I love the calls when he feels like he can actually help someone because he's really compassionate and he'll really give himself to those calls, but he just doesn't say anything. I've been thinking about like who successor would be, or, you know, the new guy. And there's so many awesome co-hosts. Like, I love Aron, I just love so much. But Jimmy, I reckon you're the man. And I'll tell you why.
And then I'm going to tell you why I'm not, but go ahead.
Well, that's and because you just said that, that just reaffirms.
Yeah.
You know, you're so humble, Jimmy. I love that.
No, it ain't that, buddy. Go ahead.
Because I don't know. I think that when you're dealing with people that are, you know, even if they come off as they usually do, as arrogant and fucking abrasive and all those things, because if you can understand why they are that way, and there's a level of like patience and compassion that comes along with that, which you've got. And also, there was one time when, you know, when like you're co-hosting, or there's two guys on the screen and one guy's talking, Matt will usually be on his computer. You can see his eyeballs doing stuff, you know. But the other day you were talking, Jimmy, to someone, and Matt was just enjoying your call and listening in, you know. And a couple of times he just like looked at you and like the things that you said, he was sort of smirk and stuff, you know. And I just thought, yeah, Jimmy's the man. He's the guy.
I appreciate that. Well, first of all, I have to say, I am still Matt's #1 cheerleader, and so I'm going to defend against the idea. I think I get what you're trying to communicate. It might be that people need to realize that it's a phase within them that has changed. I don't find Dillahunty to be more. There's this strange thing where people, I feel like, say he's more aggressive, or he's gotten angry, or he's got less patience. And I think if you go back and you look at his old stuff and you look at his new stuff, they're not that dissimilar. But you might be different. The days that type of content and watching the slam down and everything, especially when you're in that like angry atheist phase, there's nobody better to watch than Matt. Yeah. And then everybody goes out and pretends to be Matt. True. And nobody does it quite like Matt does. And so I've seen many, many people say like, well, the way Matt's doing it is wrong. Well, go start the show that does it right and do it better. Because I see the emails Matt gets. And sorry, go ahead.
That's why I prefaced it by saying he's the undeniable headmaster.
The goat.
Yeah. Like, I totally agree. I'm not bashing the Dillahunty by any means. You know, like
I think Matt is one of the few people who've been doing this shit longer than I have.
Yeah.
I'm coming up. October is 16 years since we shot the first Mr. Didi episode.
Wow.
And I wrote the first one in 2004.
That's right half my life ago. And I'm not trying to make you feel old, but I am. Yeah, Matt's the undisputed GOAT. Here's why it's not going to be me. I think that if you start to evaluate who's going to replace who, it's an impossible task. For example, who replaced Hitchens? No one. There's never been and never will be.
Well, that's I didn't. Yeah, replace wasn't the word I was going to use.
I know what you mean.
I was just sort of more thinking.
Yeah. Who's going to fill that hole anymore? At least, yeah. The reason why it's going to not be me is I see the next few years as my atheist tithe, to use a Mormon thing, and then you will never hear from me again. The day that I leave, I will be gone forever. I'm going to be living in the country on a ranch, hopefully, and I'm going to be fiddling in my wood shop, and I'm going to be selling wood online. And when that day comes, you will never see my face on a show ever again, and I cannot tell you how much I'm looking forward to that day. Despite loving the work we do, despite loving being a part of people's deconstruction journey, I'm looking forward to the end of my deal. And if I'm still doing call-in shows at 40, I'll be much angrier than Matt. Promise. I promise.
Yeah, I'd love to fast forward and see if I could really fit Jimmy, you know. It's my fucking show. I'll fucking swear if I fucking want.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. That's right. In fact, I might contact you because truly I think the most joy I could get out of anything, Russell, is having a koala reservation. It's the thing as long as I've had a dream, that's been my dream, and you're only allowed to do it in Australia. You cannot open one in the United States. Going to pick you,
I could have chosen that koala was your favorite animal before you even told me, Jimmy.
That's right.
I could just tell that by looking at your face. Yeah.
I'm going to choose to take that as a compliment.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, good.
Well, what's more adorable than a koala? Hey, man, is that your voice on the thing that goes, I'm going to turn this clip around? Is that you? It does that?
I'm going to turn this clip around?
Yeah. clip's about to start, but don't do something, or I'm going to turn this clip around, or something like that. Is
Oh,
that your voice?
Are you talking about promos at the beginning and end of videos? And there's the one about tell your uncle about the good old days. Send this to your uncle who talks about the good old. Yeah, those are my voices.
Oh, that killed me.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't write that joke though. I'll turn this clip around, did you?
I guarantee you, I hit record on the microphone with no script. So no, I didn't write it. I said it as it came to me, and I said 100. I said 100 terrible jokes, and I kept the 3 that were good.
That was one of the good ones.
Thank you. Well, Russell, at a certain point, if I keep letting you talking, I may as well just masturbate on screen. So we gotta move on.
Let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Well, it was awesome to talk to you both, Jimmy. Yeah.
Thank you.
Just keep up the good work from Australia. We love it. And Brian, I'll have to look into you more. Not in a literal sense. Yeah.
You've got 16 years,
all right. Thanks,
you've
guys.
got 16 years of content to catch up on. Yeah.
Cool.
And at least 5 of good content. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Yeah, right. I think I've got 5.
So much
5
more.
good ones.
I'm sitting. I was going to say 5 years worth of good stuff. On my own thing, if somebody had, if I had
5
been
episodes.
saying, for me, it's like 5 minutes. It's like I've got 5 minutes of good points in my 4 years of content. And in fairness,
I've been living off that very first Mr. Deity for all these 16 years. Mr. Deity and the Evil.
That's right.
That's what I've been living off of.
Have you ever done a reaction video to your first video?
I haven't. I probably should.
It's fun, huh? It's such easy content. Yeah. It's like at a certain point you're like, how many times can I recreate the same episode? I'm probably getting low, but what if I responded to it's so easy. It's so
I used to do when we sold DVDs, we would do a commentary on each episode.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a response.
Yeah. Now what is a DVD? I'm just kidding. I know what DVDs are.
They're these small discs that
right.
Yeah.
What, a disc? Like an Oreo?
Yes. Very much like an Oreo.
No, I go back to VHS days. I'm pretending to be younger than I am.
Yeah.
But I would not know how to work an 8-track. That's true.
I go back to no VCRs, no nothing.
Nothing.
You had to wait for a movie to come on, the Wednesday night movie, if you ever had a chance of seeing it once it went off the screen.
I remember in kindergarten a laser disc. Is that what the big discs were called?
Yes. Yeah. They're the size of records of and they were if I remember correctly, they were the first medium to actually give you the full 480 lines of your standard definition television, because like VHS was only 360. You only got 360 lines, and Laserdisc, and then it came up at 480. Amazing when you think about it now. How I have an 8K camera, which is
but then at the same time, it's amazing when I think here we are 25 years later, and I'm incapable of delivering 480 lines, apparently, because we've been having tech issues all fucking night.
Yes.
God damn. It looks to me that we had callers drop because we are down to the last one, which is certainly unfortunate. We're going to talk to Mason, an agnostic from Kentucky. Mason, are you there?
25 years later, and I'm
Mason. I can hear myself in the background. And so I know that we're about to catch up to where Mason's going to go, oh shit, they're on my call. We had a call. Here it comes. I think it's coming. I can hear us getting to Mason. Mason, tell me you're there.
Yes, I'm here. Sorry about that.
Mason, did you just hear the TV say your name and that's when you ran to the phone?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
It's all good. It's all good. You are forgiven.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Mason, it says you want to ask if Brian and I think that religion can lead to harm. If so, can you explain what the harm would be like? So I'm going to let you set up the question and see if we can get some more specifics, because I already know the answer.
I figured, but I guess the question, I forgot to add a word. It should say, do you think religion can lead to like a harmful life? Like, for people like that are like really religious, like people who read the Bible, like slavery or something. Like, do you think that it can cause like a harm in the long run or something? Like, I don't know, just
yes,
maybe in politics or government and something.
Are you familiar with this thing called history?
Yes.
Because the history of Western Europe, from the time that Christianity takes over to the Renaissance and the Enlightenment, is to me it's the time when Christianity had all the power in the world to make the world the way it wanted to make the West in its own image, and it gave us a living nightmare for nearly 1,000 years. So yeah, because people take this stuff seriously, and then they want to hang on for dear life, even when the evidence is just so clear that this is not the way. As Jimmy has so brilliantly pointed out to us, says it's got to be right because the book says it's got to be right, and then people, once the mind gets corrupted like that, and you're just following an ideal without ever considering the effects of what's going on, because you're not allowed to. And in the case of Christianity, you literally your life to say, this is not right. This is wrong. I mean, they locked up Galileo. They killed Giuseppe Bruno. Is it Giuseppe Giordano? Now I can't remember my mind. Over things that are empirically, demonstrably true. And
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Mason,
I've sorry about that, but I've heard of that name too, Galileo. I've heard of stories about him, about how somebody, I don't know who was it that killed him or something. Who was it again?
He didn't get killed. He got locked away for the rest of his life by the Inquisition, the Holy Roman Church. That he had made observations that confirmed earlier observations about the Earth not being the center of the universe, and they didn't like that at all because they believed that it conflicted with Scripture. So they just put him away, and they made him recant, and It's and then it took them 400 years nearly to apologize.
Yeah,
which is amazing.
Damn, I got a lot of history to learn because I'm not really good with history for real.
Yeah, Mason, I think if I could give you the quick answer, your question is, do you think religion can lead to harm? I am yet to be presented with a religion that does not. And you can start it at the most mild, which I believe is still harmful. If you perpetuate the concept that faith is a reasonable method to get to truth, you teach people self-deception. Because we have yet to show faith ever being a useful utility and a method of getting to truth. And I have yet to find a religion that doesn't perpetuate that in some way. Now, is it a gradient? Of course. Do I spend a significant amount of time trying to get Norse polytheists to stop believing in Thor? Half of them tell me they don't even literally believe in Thor, that it's rituals and exercise. If they exist, great. If not, they're having fun. I don't spend that much time on that. I spend time on how humans treat other humans. But at the end of the day, if you want to just talk about religion and harm, again, I have yet to find a religion. If the question is, can it cause harm? I'm yet to find a model in which it can avoid it.
And I would say this, there's another important, like the flip side of that coin is what makes the world a better place? And I don't think there is anything you can find in the history of the world that can compete with science, methods, and its values that has just empirically in the last 400 years made the world an infinitely better place than it was for the 1,000 years prior when Christianity controlled the Western world, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not gonna lie. Science is everything. I like science. Like I don't really believe in anything else besides science. That's really all I believe in.
Well,
the beauty is you don't have to believe in it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's demonstrable.
But here's the thing, though. You can prove it. You can't prove anything else.
Exactly. Stick to what you can know. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
And that's the thing, because where I'm from, because where I'm from, Kentucky, it's pretty religious down here, and I don't really like being around people because where I'm from, I'm not gonna give the city, but there's a lot of preaching down here, and it's really annoying because I don't believe in the religion thing. See, I'm agnostic, but the thing is, I don't really like that term, but I'll go with it. But
what gods are you still considering?
What?
What gods are you still considering believing in? Are there any that
I don't believe in any of them?
Oh, okay.
No,
well, that makes you an atheist.
Yeah, we have bad news for you, buddy. You're an atheist.
Yeah, you are an atheist.
Well, I have doubt, though. That's the problem.
You can have doubt if you don't believe in a god. Yeah, I love doubt.
There's just no god that you positively embrace.
Yeah,
you're an atheist.
It's not. No, it's not God that I embrace. It's something else. It's spirituality, unfortunately. And I don't know why, but unfortunately it is.
You don't need a god for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you don't?
Basically, if I ask you, do you believe in a god, and you say no, the answer is you're an atheist.
Oh, okay.
Now, I propose you research, because it sounds like you're a person who's very thoughtful, and you're still forming your sort of who you are and what utilities you use to get to what you believe in. I would
unfortunately I don't know who I am, but sorry about that.
That's what I'm saying. I think you're working on it. You're discovering. You're getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm 32 and I have an inkling, but that's about it. Research skepticism and how to be a skeptic. Start with Google and check out all the different tools. I think you're going to find that as far as a direction to take and a way to feel confident that you are moving away from delusion, if you come from a place of delusion, as many of us who started in religion did, you're going to find yourself feeling much more comfortable with even being able to say things like, I don't know, but that doesn't make me sick anymore to not know. I think that's what you're going to find.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know what skepticism is. I mean, I don't know. I can't really explain the definition, but yeah, I understand that. Maybe I should, instead of saying I'm agnostic, maybe I should say atheist, and I shouldn't have doubt.
It's whatever label you feel good with. I'm not bothered by it, but it's nice. It is good to, if you are an atheist, address that you are an atheist, at least for yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that I don't believe in God or anything. So I will say that. And that's who I am. When
you say you still hold on to spirituality, what is it you think you're holding on to?
Well, I did. Well, this is a different show, and I did call on another show, and the people who were like different hosts, you guys weren't the hosts at the time, but the people who were on the hosts, like the hosts, they said you all have a rule. They said that you can't. I don't think you're allowed to bring up anything else. Like it's only the topic in the thing that we're supposed to talk about on the show that I'm talking on right now.
What I'm guessing is that you called in to Transatlantic maybe, and you wanted to talk about God instead of trans issues, and that show's about trans issues. But this show is about spirituality, religion, and I assure you, any question I ask you, you're allowed to answer. I promise that.
Well, am I allowed to explain the whole spirituality thing about why I had doubt and stuff?
Yeah,
I mean, am I allowed to do that?
I'd prefer you keep it brief, so let's not overwhelm or proselytize. If you want to give us a brief summary of what you're holding on to with that spirituality, again, briefly, definitely do that.
Well, have you guys ever heard of what do you call it? I don't know what the item is, but a lot of YouTubers use them. I think it's called spirit boxes, I think.
I've never heard of a spirit box.
Well, it's basically I called on, this is where I first called. No, this isn't, but this was on Truth Wanted, because this is actually my fourth time calling you guys, which is awesome.
Well, just for a reminder for anybody who might be watching, we are not associated with the atheist community of Austin, other than being friendly, and I also live in Austin, but the Line is a totally different network. Theirs is a nonprofit, whereas we are greedy money grabbers over here. So that's how we run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Okay. Well, this one, I don't know what this episode was, but do you guys watch the news a lot?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, have you heard of the whole Brian Laundrie and the Gabby Petito case? You know,
Yes.
Have you heard of? You have?
Yep. I would say I have more than a passing familiarity with it. That I was grasped by the story and got my hands on as much information as I could.
So you kind of know the whole information and stuff?
Yes. I feel like I kind of know where this is going, but I think you're probably going to say that you watched some YouTuber who used a spirit box to channel one of their spirits, and that you felt the information was consistent with what we learned. Is that where we're going?
Well, they were spirits. No, I'm not saying they were. I think it's completely bullshit, but what this spirit said, because this guy who was using the spirit box was asking, it was a radio. He was asking questions about what happened to Brian Laundrie, because he killed himself, I guess.
Yep.
I guess he asked the radio, is Brian Laundrie dead and stuff? Well, the so-called spirit. And the spirit said yes.
Yeah. Also, in 2000 and when was that? It would have been 2017. I saw a video on YouTube where a man was claiming to be from the future. He had distorted his voice and had blurred out his face and was crying about how he was just so hard trying to get home. And now, to prove I'm from the future, I will tell you a thing only I could know as being from the future. The winner of the 2020 election will be Donald John Trump. And he didn't win.
Yeah.
This is an example where it didn't, but there was a good chance of that happening. In fact, I thought on the night of the election, as I ended our coverage, that he probably was about to win, that he probably had pulled off a re-election.
And I hope he doesn't win, because I do not like Donald Trump.
Sure, me too. Most people had a good inkling. I shouldn't say knew. Most people believed Brian was probably dead. And it's a simple yes or no question. Is he alive or not?
Yeah.
Yes or no. There was a good chance the answer was that he was not alive. And so I guarantee you there's going to be content and psychics out there that you can find who said he was, but the ones that said he wasn't alive and then it turned out to not be alive, well, that's proof that they're psychics, right? Or that's proof of spirit boxes. It's not. It's confirmation bias combined with running probabilities. And so if you've got a person who's using spirit boxes and they're never wrong and you can consistently show it, then we've got something. But if you've got somebody who, of the possibilities of, did this person who murdered his girlfriend feel so much shame that when he disappeared with none of his belongings, he headed to a place and killed himself, I can't say that I'm impressed that whoever was running the radio voice on the other side came up with that, yes, that guy's dead.
So in other words, this dude that was actually talking to the spirit box was unfortunately lying, huh?
I would assume that is the simplest answer. Without being able to say indefinitely, as I apply Occam's razor, there was likely a person on the other end that was a part of that experience.
That makes a lot of sense. Sorry about that.
I was going to say that's okay. I was going to say that there are people and groups, the Skeptic Society and PsyCop, there are various groups who've been looking into these matters for the last, I don't know, Skeptic's been around since the early 90s. Like, how
For
long?
years, unfortunately.
70s. And they've been looking into all this stuff. There used to be $1 million challenge where you could, if you could prove that you had some kind of supernatural ability, they would give you $1 million. And no one ever passed that test when you get it down to really, really looking at it. So there are people who look into this stuff to find out if there's something to it, because if there is, we really do all want. It's just, unfortunately, so far it just doesn't come up. There's another kind of spirituality.
The $1 million
challenge, yes. It was offered by the James Randi Educational Foundation for years. I don't think it's around anymore.
Yeah.
And this was in the 70s?
This is in the 90s and 2000s.
Yeah. In fact, so every year there was a conference in Las Vegas, an amazing meeting, and I actually saw a number of these people. Every year they would have people come up who said they thought they could do these things, and they would go up on stage, and we would all watch them kind of flounder, sadly. And sometimes it really was sad, because these people truly believed that they had some kind of magical power or skill, and then when you actually put it into a controlled test, they just can't do it. That's this kind of thing that's been going on. I would be absolutely riveted and fascinated if we could get somebody who really could do some of this stuff. But in the history of mankind, we haven't really ever solved the problem with some kind of mystical or supernatural explanation. It's always been some kind of natural explanation, just based on how the world works and physics and all that kind of thing. And I think that's another good reason to just focus on that. Let's focus on that. Let's do what we can in that area to make the world and our lives a better place.
Yeah,
that's right. That's you're absolutely right. That's for sure. You're right about that.
There's a really interesting video. I don't know if you've ever seen it, Brian, of a woman who takes a picture to a psychic, and the psychic and basically goes, "Can you tell me about this little girl?" And the psychic basically says, "Yeah, she's dead, I'm afraid." And the woman reveals that it's a picture of her as a kid. It's like, nope, she's standing right in front of you.
DJ Grothy used to have this spectacular, I saw him do it at a number of conferences and he showed video of he'd done all kinds of things like that, or other people had, and he'd conglomerated it into one video. It was just fascinating to watch these psychics stumble over themselves over and over again.
Darren Brown also did an incredible horoscope astrology type of experiment where basically he gives this extremely detailed reading based on people's signs and birth and everything, this personality where it's literally just telling them all these very, very deep things about themselves. And he does it for, I think it's about 20 people. And it seems very psychic and impossible. And then he has the 20 people exchange the papers, these multi-page pamphlet, or whatever you'd call it, multiple pages of this personality reading, only for all 20 people to realize they all were given the exact same 4 pages of text.
Yeah. That's a classic thing. I think Randy originally did that way back when.
Did he? Yeah. Mason, there's a lot of information out there if you want to see these things get debunked. You want to see how you can evaluate. One of the fascinating things, too, about that James Randi challenge, especially when it came to these bigger celebrity psychics and stuff, those people who participated and did the test, it's not like a test that was set up to make them fail. They got to participate in crafting the test. Like, you're saying you can see auras and everybody has a different color. So would a test be acceptable to you where we put people in front of a wall and then behind a wall, and you tell us what order those same people in are based on the aura that is coming off of them? That was one of the tests they did. They get to agree that, of course, they could do that. They get to participate in crafting the tests too, and they still, not one person ever claimed the $1 million.
That's weird. I never knew that. You guys just taught me something that I never knew of. And what's it called again? Because I'm writing this down. The $1 million challenge.
The James Randi Foundation. Yeah, $1 million challenge.
All right, I didn't know that. I appreciate you guys teaching me something. I really do.
Yeah.
And Mason, check out skeptic.com. I think you'll like that.
I agree.
What's it called?
Skeptic, S-K-E, I see. I'm getting old, Mason. Skeptic.com.
You ain't old. Don't say that.
Oh, I am. Trust me.
Well, at least you're living. That's all I can say.
Yes, that's true. Thank you.
It's all part of life, right? Thank you, Mason. Go ahead.
Can I tell you guys something about that too? Like, I was am I allowed to tell you all a story about something I was watching on TV?
I think, buddy, because we're already an hour past when the show would usually end, I think we're going to wrap it up there. But if you want to call and it's relevant to the topic on a future week, we'll hear about your TV story in the future. That sound good?
That's fine. Fair enough. I appreciate you guys letting me talk to you guys and teaching me things.
Sure.
I really do.
Thank you, Mason.
No problem. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. I have to say something.
Go for
I
it.
feel like people are doing this and worried about me because like I've had some kind of tick or something, but it's been so hot here in Southern California still. I've had to keep all the doors open and all the windows open. I have been getting alive by mosquitoes this whole time. So I'm constantly reaching down and it's just brutal. I got to go find the cortisone now.
I'm going to guess that they're probably not as concerned about that, and they're more concerned with, like, yes, we technically got the show back on air, but we've definitely had signal issues throughout. And so I still don't know where the problem is. Is this YouTube? Is this around 40 minutes ago? Apparently the stream just stopped and started again without me doing anything. So we're having just a hell of a tech day. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, we had a good viewership of we were still able to recover. I imagine had the original show gone out in its regular form and hadn't had those issues, based on the trajectory, I'm guessing we would have had 1,000 to 1,200 people. We were able to hold on to over 600 people, even with all those issues. But then the fake out stop happened, and now we've been in the low 500s. So, you know, it's disappointing when these tech issues happen, wherever it is, whether it's the streamer, YouTube, or my suspicion, a combination of the two talking to each other. Yeah, there are people saying it's YouTube today.
Well, I bring this kind of luck everywhere I got back into the market like a week and a half ago, and my ex-girlfriend says, you really should post on Facebook. I'm getting into the market. Everybody, just so you know, it's going to take a plunge.
There you go.
I've gotten back.
Well, I'm skeptical of any claim such as that, so I suppose the only way I will be able to test your assertion is by having you back on at a time you agree.
Oh, that'd be great. I would love it.
That's
right.
This was
tons of fun.
I also had fun despite the tech issues.
We had two young callers who were, you know, I just love it when young people are interested in this stuff. But the 13-year-old, you don't think he was even 13, using the term cognitive dissonance, I was like, what the freak?
Yeah. The amount of pain I could have avoided if I had come from a place that I would have learned that term that young.
Yes.
My goodness.
Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You got out before I did. I was 27.
Though
it took me till 27 to figure it out.
I wonder whether or not I was going to give you shit. I was going to make a joke about our ages compared to each other and what year we got out, but I decided not to.
Yeah.
As we become more familiar, I'll become more cruel.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no, I like that. I can punch back.
Good. I'm fat and I hate my teeth. You got nothing but.
And I always punch down, so this works perfectly.
Brilliant. I wonder whether or not would I have actually avoided hurt, or would I have figured out a way to use the phrase cognitive dissonance, use phrases like confirmation bias as I was bearing my testimony, and accuse like all other religions of using these things, but not us.
Well, you know, Socrates thought that the young people should not be taught the dialectic and how to reason until they were 30, because he said they would just use it for mischief. So I think there's something to that.
That's probably a really good point. My goodness.
Yeah.
My goodness. Well, Brian, seriously, I'm so chuffed to have had you on. And when I have confirmed that I have fixed that tomorrow these tech issues aren't there and that just the passage of time will resolve them, we'll definitely have to get you back here for something more.
All right. Awesome. This is so much fun. I'm a huge fan, so it's a thrill for me as well.
I assume you mean of the format of the show, because I will deny anybody the opportunity to compliment me.
No, don't
get out of
do
here.
that.
Get out of here.
Get out.
Get out. Yeah, I don't know what to do with it. That one call where the guy was going on, and I realized how masturbatory the stream had become. It's like, man, I am pretty great. You know what, Matt? I am going to replace you. Look out. I'm coming. No, definitely not. Wouldn't want it.
That's the way see, the reason I'll never stop doing what I do is because I live off the positive comments of the people who watch my videos. I would slit my throat otherwise.
Have you ever seen the "you're getting paid" meme?
No.
It's basically a meme from this movie that had like Jason, I think it was Jason Sudeikis and maybe Jennifer Aniston. And then there's this ginger actor who's got sort of a unique face, so every expression he does is much funnier. And basically he gets these people to play his fake family. And so the meme is somebody referencing getting paid, and then the ginger guy's face is stuck into it. You guys are getting paid? And as you said that...
Oh, yes.
As you said that, I said, in my brain, his face came in and I went, "You're getting positive comments? What the fuck? Where do I sign up for that service?"
Well, Jimmy, this is how long I've been doing this shit. All of the people who come at me negatively, they're gone. It's over. They've all died.
They're dead.
Or they've come at me, and I'm not nice. If you come at me and you're an idiot, I'm vicious in the comments. So they're just like, okay. And all I know is just the people going, "Oh, you're so wonderful." So I post my video, and then I just sit that day and read the comments and comment back to people, and I think, okay, I'm all right. Somebody likes me.
I was going through the comments of Aron and Mai's video because I wanted to see if there were people there agreeing with Michael. And then there was, I think I did it with Forrest too. There's something very interesting where when you put two people together, a lot of times people are coming for one or the other, though there's a good number of people who come for the show. So a lot of people like to see the pairing, but then there's these number of people who they came to see Aron, and all of their comments are, "Jimmy, shut the fuck up and let Aron talk." And then the people who came to see me saying things like, "I wish Jimmy would just do the show by himself so that he never had to share this." And so you get the harshest insults and the most positive compliments on the same shows. It's the ones where nobody hates or loves you that you know is a boring show, basically.
Yes. Better to be hated than to boring.
And by the way, I agree with all of these hosts. I should shut up and just let them talk. I'm just incapable. It's a compulsion.
Yes.
Thank you, Brian, for showing up. The Mr. Atheist, Mr. Deity mashup did not disappoint me anyway. And we will see everybody back here on Wednesday for Matt Dillahunty's The Hang Up, and Thursday for the Transatlantic Call-In Show, I don't remember who's on this week. Brian, last word to you. Tell people where to find you, and we'll call it a night.
I'm at patreon.com/Mr. Deity, and the Mr. Deity channel, which is spelled out STERDEITY.
Because the audio skipped out.
Don't go to Mr. Deity. He's giving you the whole Adkins bullshit. It's not going to work for you. Trust me.
Because
Deity, DEITY.
Because it skipped out, I'm just going to repeat it because I think my audio isn't skipping. It's MISTERDEITY. By the way, atheist is also spelled with the E first, and a lot of you would need to learn that. Good night, everyone.
Yeah.